What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 2 of the Real GP series. If you didn't happen to catch the first episode, this series is entirely based around finding the most accurate profit per hour of 12 different NPCs within RuneScape that were all viewer requested. So in this episode, which will feature the Brutal Blue Dragons, I'm going to do something a little different. There's a huge argument between what weapons are better at Brutal Blue Dragons, or Reds, or Blacks, so I decided to get to the bottom of it. I'll still be doing 25 hours of the Brutal Blues, but I'll be splitting it in half and doing 12.5 hours with the Dragon Hunter Crossbow, and 12.5 hours with the Toxic Blowpipe. My purpose in doing this is to see if the speed of the Blowpipe will outweigh the additional cost it takes to charge it up. But before we actually get into everything, I want to note that the Twisted Bow is absolutely the best weapon that can be used on any of the Brutal Dragon types, but let's be honest, not everyone can afford a 1 billion GP weapon. So with that out of the way, let's get rolling. Brutal Blue Dragons are located in the Catacombs of Kourend, which are located on the continent of Zeah. The Brutal Blue Dragons can be accessed a couple of ways, which we will run through quickly now. First, all of the Brutal Blue Dragons in the Catacombs can be accessed via a rope hanging down located here within the borders of the Lava King house. This provides a semi-quick way to grab an inventory of kills and then take a run to the southwest to bank all of your loot. For those of you that can't use the Teleport to Kourend spell, this is going to be the fastest way to bank your loot. Next, and my preferred method of getting there, is going to be using the Teleport to Kourend spell, which is a spell on the normal spellbook that requires level 69 magic. This teleport will take you right to the monument in the center of Zeah, where you will then right click and investigate. Once in the catacombs, you will take the western passage and follow it past the skeletons and the hellhounds, where you will find 2 Brutal Blue Dragon spawns. I prefer this method because it makes for really fast banking. Although this method will require level 82 or higher construction, it is by far the fastest and cheapest method of banking. After my trip is finished, I teleport to my house, use my Ornate Rejuvenation Pool to replenish my stats, use the Glory in my house to teleport to Edgeville, bank, then teleport right back to the monument. On average, I spend about 20 to 25 seconds banking and getting back to the Brutal Blues. If you don't have an Ornate Rejuve pool, you can always just replace the house tabs with a dueling ring and teleport to Clan Wars to replenish your stats. I want to note here, make sure you're using the actual teleport spell that requires runes. The redirected house teleport tab to Kourend will take you to the house portal located near the Hosidius house, which is a very long run away from the catacombs entrance. The Brutal Blue Dragons are pretty strong, but still share the same weaknesses as any other dragon. With only a plus 50 bonus to stab and range, these will be the best ways to kill them. But because they attack with both magic, dragon fire, and melee, you are not going to want to melee them. The best and most viable way to kill any breed of Brutal Dragon is going to be with ranged. With an attack level of 298 and a strength level of 198, they will hit quite often and pretty hard if you are in melee range. However, unlike Metal Dragons, using an anti-fire potion and the Protect from Magic prayer will negate 100% of the damage from both their magic attack as well as the dragon fire attack. This is great for us because that frees up your shield slot to use something with a range bonus. The Brutal Blues boast a combat level of 271 and a hit points level of 245. Their max hit is 21 with melee and can be over 50 with Dragonfire if you're not using an anti-fire potion. If you are using an anti-fire potion and neglect to turn on your Protect from Magic, you will still take 35 or more damage. So always remember to be anti-fire potted and have your Protect from Magic prayer on at all times while you're here. Although Brutal Blues are the weakest Brutal Dragon species in the Catacombs, their loot is still quite good because of the speed you're able to kill them at. And even with the quicker speed, they still drop some items that will stack up quite nicely over time. Unlike normal Blue Dragons, Brutal Blues drop 2 dragon hides per kill instead of just 1, so each kill will net you a guaranteed 6.5k if you bank the hides and bones. Brutal Blue Dragons also have the chance to drop the Draconic Visage at a rate of 1 in 10,000. Although it's not worth what it once was, it will still net you close to 9 mil. Some other notable drops include the Dragon Longsword, Dragon Dagger, Rune Plate Bodies, Dragon Med Helms, tons of Law Runes, Rune Arrows, Runite Ore, and Dragon Dart Tips, Arrow Tips, or Javelin Heads. If you'd like to see a complete list of the Brutal Blue Dragons drop table, check out the wiki link in the description below. So now let's hop into the gear setups for each method I'll be testing out. On the left side of the video, you'll see the setup I'll be using for the crossbow, and on the right you'll see the setup I'll be using for the blowpipe. Both setups are nearly identical, with the only differences being the choice of weaponry. I decided on going with maxing out my range bonuses for this video to try to get the most accurate reading on the profit per hour that can be made here. Obviously, using less expensive gear will generate less profit per hour, but for the sake of this video, I decided to max it out. So as for the main gear that won't be changing, I decided to go with the full Armadillo set, which includes the helmet, plate, and chain skirt, Necklace of Anguish, Ava's Accumulator, Barrow's Gloves, Pegasian Boots, and an Archer's Ring Eye. As for the weapons differences, for the crossbow method I'll be using the Dragon Hunter Crossbow along with the Twisted Buckler, and for the bolts I went with Amethyst tipped broad bolts. Amethyst tipped broad bolts share the same range strength as Runite bolts, so choosing which ones to use really depends on which one is cheaper at the time. Those of you with lower range levels may want to consider using Diamond or Ruby Bolts E to speed up kill times, but with max gear and 99 range, the Amethyst or Rune bolts worked great for me. As for the Blowpipe method, this won't allow me to use anything in the shield slot as the Blowpipe is a two-handed weapon. However, this will free up the quiver spot for ammunition, so in place of the ammunition you want to be using a Blessing. The Blessing gives an additional +1 bonus to prayer, so in the long run it will save you prayer points over a long period of time. For the darts, in the Blowpipe I went with Adamant darts, and they're easily affordable and still pack a pretty decent punch. Fighting the Brutal Blue Dragons is a good way to make some cash while not paying too much attention to the game. All you need to do is make sure you're out of their melee distance, throw on your magic prayer, and go to town. If you pick up everything they drop, bones, hides, and whatever else, you can usually stay for about 6 kills a trip. Banking all the hides and bones definitely adds up very quickly. So if you don't have the level 77 Slayer requirement to kill Brutal Black Dragons, Brutal Blues may be a good alternative as they are generally fast kills and you can finish an inventory in anywhere between 5 and 8 minutes depending on your range level. If I had to suggest a minimum level to camp these, I'd say probably level 80 ranged. As for the inventory, all I took with me was 1 extended anti-fire, 1 ranging, and 1 prayer potion. Most of the time I didn't even need the prayer potion, but I kept one with me at all times just in case. For my banking method, I also had house teleports so I could get to my house quickly, recharge my stats, and use the glory to Edgeville. So now let's go ahead and jump into the loot. Just like earlier, the loot I got from using the Dragon Hunter Crossbow will be on the left, and the loot I got from Blowpiping will be on the right. We'll start out first with the crossbow. As usual, I killed this NPC for a total of 25 hours, but split it up into 2 12.5-hour sessions to test each weapon. So in total, I managed to kill 656 Brutal Blues in 12.5 hours with the Dragon Hunter Crossbow, which averaged me about 52 kills per hour. For the crossbow, I came out with a total value of 7,731,022 GP. As for supplies, I ended up using 2,798 Amethyst bolts, 27 extended anti-fires, and 27 range potions. I actually only ended up using 3 prayer potions total here because of a few trips here and there where my hits were crap, but normally 99 prayer was enough. I also ended up using 114 house teleport tabs and 114 Karen teleport tabs, which call for 2 law and 2 soul runes. So with all of this combined, it brings my total supply cost to 1,074,232 GP. We'll round these numbers to 7.7 mil total loot and 1.05 mil supply cost, which gives me a total profit of 6.65 mil, which averages out to 532k profit per hour. As for the Blowpipe, I was incredibly surprised that there wasn't much difference. I honestly thought that I'd pick up at least 100 more kills throughout the 12.5 hours. The Blowpipe was actually a total of 5 kills slower, but really 5 kills can be attributed to RNG and most likely not either of the weapons used. So same deal here, 12.5 hours of Brutal Blues with the Blowpipe, I ended up with 651 total kills, which ended up also being a little over 52 kills per hour. The total value of all the drops I received while using the Blowpipe ended up being 7,275,523 GP. For supplies with the Blowpipe, the costs were a little more hefty. I ended up using 27 extended anti-fires and 27 ranging potions, 2 prayer potions, 5,267 adamant darts, and 17,288 Zulrah scales. As for getting there and back, I used 112 house teleports and 112 teleport to Karen spells. All of these supply costs added up gives me a total cost of 3,113,164 GP, which then gave me a total profit of 4,162,359 GP. We can round this to 4.15 mil, divide it by the 12.5 hours, which leaves me with 332k profit per hour. So it seems that for Brutal Blue Dragons, a crossbow is most definitely the way to go. The speed was generally the same, but the profit per hour is vastly superior with the crossbow due to much lower costs. So now for shits and giggles, let's check out my total loot and costs to see what I made as an overall profit per hour. 15,006,545 GP total, pretty close to an even 15 mil, so we'll just go with that. Total supplies ended up costing me 4.18 mil, leaving me with 10.82 mil total profit and 432k per hour. But because this was split up with two different fighting methods, the value isn't accurate. It was just for fun. So there you have it, everyone. I can definitely say that the Dragon Hunter Crossbow is leaps and bounds better than the Blowpipe at Brutal Blue Dragons. The cost is much lower, which in turn makes the profit much higher. So thanks to everyone who requested Brutal Blue Dragons. Thanks to all of you, my bank is looking about 11 mil better now. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, they really help a lot. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below. I'll try to get to every single one that I can. Make sure you come back next week to check out the real GP per hour of the Brutal Red Dragons, and don't forget to tap that subscribe button on your way out. Take it easy, everyone.